Chosen one, hear this now. The time for quiet obedience is over. This message is not just a gentle whisper, it is a final call. God warned silence means elimination soon. This isn't metaphorical. This isn't poetic. It's a blazing truth carved into the destiny of the ones who were chosen to rise above. The stillness you once wore, like a cloak, is becoming your burden. The very silence that once protected you, that once hid your light from enemies and shielded you in times of trial, is now turning against you like a sharpened blade. The world is shifting. The unseen realms are stirring, and those who remain passive are being swept away in waves of irrelevance and defeat. To all the chosen ones watching this, watch this video until the end. Take a moment to ignite your presence in the comments section by sharing your warmest wishes and typing 77. Let it be a signal to the universe, to the divine, that you are not asleep, that your heart still burns, that your soul still moves with holy fire. This is more than a video. It's a divine appointment, a moment in time coded with destiny, purpose, and power. Wishes do come true, but only for those who move, who speak, who rise when others retreat. Now, like this video, subscribe to the channel, and let's dive deeper. You have been silent too long. You've hidden your light, stifled your truth, and swallowed your roar. You've watched injustice pass by your window like a thief in the night, and though your spirit raged, your mouth remained closed. God saw it. God measured every second of your hesitation. And now, the warning is echoing through your soul. If you continue in silence, elimination is not a possibility, it is a certainty. This world does not honor the mute heart, the passive spirit. The call is for the bold, the awakened, the ones who are willing to risk everything to fulfill the purpose they were chosen for. You were not placed here to be a background character in your own story. You were not formed in sacred fire, just to dim your flame for the comfort of others. You are here to disrupt, to awaken, to shatter systems, and rewrite legacies. But none of that can happen if your voice stays trapped behind fear, if your truth remains buried beneath people-pleasing, shame, or doubt. God is not silent. Heaven is not passive. So why are you? What more confirmation do you need? How many signs have been sent to you? Through dreams, through delays, through the breaking of comfort zones. The silence is costing you. Opportunities have passed because you were too afraid to speak. Connections have withered because you stayed still when you should have stood up. People sent by the divine have walked away, mistaking your quiet for confusion or disinterest. God will not keep opening doors that you refuse to walk through. You must understand the spiritual consequence of inaction. Silence in the spirit realm is not just absence, it's agreement. When you do not speak against the forces that are rising against your purpose, you unknowingly make a covenant with your own destruction. You align with delay, with limitation, with demonic distractions. Your silence has made enemies comfortable, and your absence has made cowards feel bold. It's time to end it, not with violence, not with chaos, but with the divine power of your voice, your action, your presence. Every time you chose silence when God gave you a message, you postponed someone's breakthrough. Every time you swallowed your truth, someone else's bondage was prolonged. You were never meant to be a spectator. You are a vessel of divine intervention. You are God's chosen lightning rod in this era of awakening. But if you won't move, God will move without you. If you won't speak, God will raise another. Understand this. Elimination does not always come as death. Sometimes it comes as spiritual detachment. a slow, tragic fading of purpose, a gradual erosion of favor. You still wake up, you still breathe, but something sacred in you dies. You become a shell of what you were anointed to be, and that chosen one is more terrifying than any earthly death. This is your last chance to shift, to align, to say enough to the lies that told you to stay quiet. The world needs your voice. The universe is aching for your vibration. Your destiny is being strangled by the silence you have wrapped around yourself like chains. It's not humility, it's not wisdom, it's disobedience, and it's killing your future. God warned because God loves. Warnings are acts of mercy, but mercy has limits in the realm of timing. This is not a grace period, it's a closing window, a final call to rise and break the silence that has kept you bound. When God chooses someone, there's a reason, there's a mission, there's a fire. But if that fire is not fed, if it's neglected, it becomes a consuming flame, not to light your path, but to burn everything around you. Look around. You've seen the signs, people falling off, unexpected rejections, delays, misalignments. These are not random. They are wake-up calls. Every closed door is screaming, "Speak now or be silenced forever." Every betrayal is crying out, "Rise or be replaced." Every disappointment is heaven pushing you, "Move or be moved aside." The message is clear. God is not asking anymore. God is commanding. Silence equals elimination. And you may ask, but what if I speak and they reject me? What if they do? Then you were never meant to be accepted by them in the first place. This is not about popularity. It's about purpose. You were not chosen to be liked. You were chosen to be effective. The truth you carry is not designed for comfort. It's meant for confrontation. You were never called to entertain. You were called to awaken. You must reclaim your authority. Speak even if your voice shakes. Move even if your legs tremble. Obey even if the world laughs. The power that rests upon your shoulders is not yours. It's divine. It was never about you being ready. It was always about you being willing. Heaven is watching. The hosts of angels are leaning in. The universe is waiting. And the earth, in its groaning, is demanding your activation. You cannot wait for perfect conditions. You cannot wait for permission from those who do not understand your calling. You cannot keep postponing your purpose until it feels safe. Safety is an illusion in the battlefield of destiny. Your silence is not keeping you safe. It's putting your soul in danger. Do not mistake peace for passivity. Do not mistake quiet for alignment. True peace comes when your spirit is in motion with divine will. You were chosen in the fire, formed in the shadows, molded in secret. But now, the silence must end. Speak truth. Proclaim freedom. Announce the vision. Release the power. Heaven will not delay anymore. And here's what you must know. God doesn't threaten. God prepares. This warning is not meant to paralyze you in fear. It's meant to ignite your decision. Choose life or fade out. Choose obedience or be replaced. Choose to roar or be erased in the fog of forgotten ones. You have been marked by glory, but that mark comes with a cost. It demands movement. It demands sound. It demands action. God did not choose you for your potential. He chose you for your readiness. And now He is asking, are you still worthy of the title Chosen One? Or has your silence stripped you of the right to carry the fire? The answer is not in your words. It's in your steps. It's in your decisions from this moment on. The next chapter of your life begins when you open your mouth, open your heart, open your will to the full authority of your calling. Speak, chosen one. The heavens are listening, and the alternative is elimination. Chosen one, You must feel it. That internal pressure, the unseen yet undeniable weight pushing against your chest, not to crush you, but to awaken you. This is not anxiety, it's urgency, a divine fire trying to erupt from within you. Yet it meets resistance, your silence, your inaction, your delay. And every moment you suppress that eruption, you edge closer to being forgotten by the very destiny that once called your name. God does not choose the strongest or the loudest by default. He chooses the ones willing to walk when others kneel, to speak when the room demands silence. But your hesitation has created a fracture in the path laid out for you. Every time you delay what your spirit already knows to be true, your timeline bends. It stretches out into unnecessary struggle. You are living in extended battles that were never meant to exist, all because silence became your default response. You were born with a code inside you, a divine algorithm written before time. That code is activated through obedience, through sound, through movement, and silence interrupts it. It scrambles the frequency, and soon, if it continues, it deletes the very instructions you were created to carry. This is not just about being heard, it's about being aligned. You cannot live a chosen life with a muted soul. The universe responds to resonance. When you speak in alignment with your purpose, heaven moves. But if your voice is absent, heaven shifts elsewhere. God is too strategic to wait on someone who's unwilling to act. He'll replace silence with a new voice. He'll reroute power to someone who is hungry enough to move. That's the warning. Elimination is not emotional punishment. It's the realignment of divine order. Look around. You've seen the signs. People falling off, unexpected rejections, delays, misalignments. These are not random. They are wake-up calls. Every closed door is screaming, "Speak now or be silenced forever." Every betrayal is crying out, "Rise or be replaced." Every disappointment is heaven pushing you, "Move or be moved aside." The message is clear. God is not asking anymore. God is commanding. Silence equals elimination. And you may ask, but what if I speak and they reject me? What if they do? Then you were never meant to be accepted by them in the first place. This is not about popularity. It's about purpose. You were not chosen to be liked. You were chosen to be effective. The truth you carry is not designed for comfort. It's meant for confrontation. You were never called to entertain. You were called to awaken. You must reclaim your authority. Speak even if your voice shakes. Move even if your legs tremble. Obey even if the world laughs. The power that rests upon your shoulders is not yours. It's divine. It was never about you being ready. It was always about you being willing. Heaven is watching. The hosts of angels are leaning in. The universe is waiting, and the earth, in its groaning, is demanding your activation. You cannot wait for perfect conditions. You cannot wait for permission from those who do not understand your calling. You cannot keep postponing your purpose until it feels safe. Safety is an illusion in the battlefield of destiny. Your silence is not keeping you safe. It's putting your soul in danger. Do not mistake peace for passivity. Do not mistake quiet for alignment. True peace comes when your spirit is in motion with divine will. You were chosen in the fire, formed in the shadows, molded in secret. But now, the silence must end. Speak truth. Proclaim freedom. Announce the vision. Release the power. Heaven will not delay anymore. And here's what you must know. God doesn't threaten. God prepares. This warning is not meant to paralyze you in fear. It's meant to ignite your decision. Choose life or fade out. Choose obedience or be replaced. Choose to roar or be erased in the fog of forgotten ones. You have been marked by glory. But that mark comes with a cost. It demands movement. It demands sound. It demands action. God did not choose you for your potential. He chose you for your readiness. And now He is asking, are you still worthy of the title Chosen One? Or has your silence stripped you of the right to carry the fire? The answer is not in your words. It's in your steps. It's in your decisions from this moment on. The next chapter of your life begins when you open your mouth, open your heart, open your will to the full authority of your calling. Speak, Chosen One. The heavens are listening, and the alternative is elimination. Chosen One, you must feel it. That internal pressure, the unseen yet undeniable weight pushing against your chest, not to crush you, but to awaken you. This is not anxiety, it's urgency. A divine fire trying to erupt from within you, yet it meets resistance. Your silence, your inaction, your delay. And every moment you suppress that eruption, you edge closer to being forgotten by the very destiny that once called your name. God does not choose the strongest or the loudest by default. He chooses the ones willing to walk when others kneel, to speak when the room demands silence. But your hesitation has created a fracture in the path laid out for you. Every time you delay what your spirit already knows to be true, your timeline bends. It stretches out into unnecessary struggle. You are living in extended battles that were never meant to exist, all because silence became your default response. You were born with a code inside you, a divine algorithm written before time. That code is activated through obedience, through sound, through movement, and silence interrupts it. It scrambles the frequency, and soon, if it continues, it deletes the very instructions you were created to carry. This is not just about being heard, it's about being aligned. You cannot live a chosen life with a muted soul. The universe responds to resonance. When you speak in alignment with your purpose, heaven moves. But if your voice is absent, heaven shifts elsewhere. God is too strategic to wait on someone who's unwilling to act. He'll replace silence with a new voice. He'll reroute power to someone who is hungry enough to move. That's the warning. Elimination is not emotional punishment. It's the realignment of divine order. Your delay does not just cost you. It delays others tied to your calling. Your silence creates shadows where light was meant to burst through. Do you know how many people are waiting for you to finally step into your role? Not because you're superior, but because your obedience opens doors they cannot open on their own. The longer you stay hidden, the longer they remain locked out of their healing, their clarity, their breakthrough. God doesn't need you. He chose to include you. That invitation is a holy gift, and gifts can be taken back. This isn't a season of convenience, it's a season of confrontation. God is confronting you, not to shame you, but to awaken you. Because your hesitation is creating consequences. Every maybe later, every I'm not ready, every what if they judge me. These have become chains around your anointing. You are stuck not because you're weak, but because you're silent. The power is ready. The miracles are ready. But your movement is the missing link. Look at what has been crumbling in your life. The unanswered prayers, the strange, silent seasons, the dreams that feel distant. Have you considered this? That it's not because God is ignoring you, but because you have ignored the command to speak. Silence in a moment of purpose is disobedience, and disobedience always has a cost. You've been chosen for a reason far greater than comfort. That ache in your chest, that frustration with the world, that sense of there's more that never leaves you. That is your divine instruction manual sounding alarms, and your silence is turning those alarms into sirens, louder, stronger, desperate. Because heaven knows, the moment you speak, the landscape around you will change. But if you don't, then what? Then God will pour into someone else. Someone who may not have your talent, but has the courage to speak. Someone who may not be as seasoned, but has the urgency to obey. And that's how elimination begins. Not all at once, but in shifts, in moments, in pieces of favor falling off of you piece by piece, until the mantle is no longer yours. It's not too late yet, but time is not your ally right now. This is the final grace before the silence becomes permanent. You think you have years, but in the spirit realm, there are seconds left. The doors are closing. The divine spotlight is moving. And if you are not under it when it lands, someone else will be. Chosen one, your silence is not humility. It's surrendering your power to fear. And fear has never been your master. You were not built for invisibility. You were made for divine confrontation. You were wired to tear through strongholds, not to sit in the corner hoping someone else will do it for you. You've spent too much time trying to stay low, unnoticed, invisible. But that time is over. You don't get to pretend anymore. Not after the dreams you've had. Not after the signs. Not after the inner earthquakes that only God could have sent. You know what you're supposed to do. You've always known. The problem has never been knowledge, it's been obedience. And now, every silent moment becomes a step toward elimination. Not by vengeance, but by holy law. Because the laws of purpose are not built to wait forever. Either you move in them, or they move around you. Destiny is holy, sacred, urgent, and it does not honor hesitation. You must understand, the longer you wait, the harder it gets to return. Not because God is cruel, but because doors close for your protection too. You don't want to reach a point where the silence has sealed your fate. There is still time, but not much. The edge is near. The threshold is close. Your voice is the key. Your obedience is the activation. And your courage is the currency of movement. This is not about shouting. This is not about attention. This is about alignment. Sound is sacred when it's birthed from obedience. Speak what God told you. Move in what God revealed to you. Break out of the prison of pretending. You were never meant to blend in. You carry codes for a generation. You carry words that shift atmospheres. You carry light that was designed to blind darkness. But light kept inside becomes heat with no direction, fire without purpose. Eventually, it turns inward, and instead of warming others, it burns you from within. You know it's true. You've felt the burn, the frustration, the inner pressure. That's not depression. That's not confusion. That's destiny trying to escape. And if you keep holding it in, it will destroy everything that was once meant to be blessed through you. Chosen one, hear this. Heaven is waiting, but not much longer. This is the mercy before the movement, the whisper before the windstorm, the nudge before the door closes for good. Speak, move, roar, or be forgotten. Chosen one, there is a critical truth you must confront without delay. Heaven has limits on patience, not because it is unkind, but because it is strategic. God's kingdom operates on divine timing, and when those moments arrive, you are expected to act, not to analyze, not to hesitate, not to disappear into the noise of overthinking. Silence in a divine moment is not neutrality, it is rebellion. And the consequences for rebellion, even if unintentional, are always elimination from what could have been yours. You've been asking for confirmation. You've been begging for signs. But what you don't realize is that the delay you feel is the sign. The frustration, the inner stagnation, the dry places that used to overflow. That's not coincidence. That's consequence. A consequence not of sin, but of stillness. You are too still in a world that is shifting without your permission. And if you don't speak now, the wind of your calling will pass you by and fall on someone else's shoulders. There is a line that cannot be seen, but is very real in the spirit world. It's the line between being chosen and being replaced. You are standing right on it, one step further into silence, and you cross into a life that no longer echoes with your original calling. It will feel normal, it will feel safe, but the haunting will never stop, because your soul remembers what your flesh refused to carry. And nothing hurts more than the memory of what you were supposed to become. You were not selected randomly. You were called before you could even speak. You were marked before your life had shape. That mark comes with pressure, not to destroy you, but to mold you. And right now, your silence is resisting that pressure. You are fighting the shaping hand of heaven by remaining mute when heaven demands sound. And resistance to shaping becomes disqualification from purpose. Do not let the enemy convince you that silence is safety. It's not. It is spiritual suffocation. And slowly, it kills everything divine within you. Every word unsaid, every instruction ignored, every gift buried. These are not small acts. They are loud silences. They scream louder in the spirit than the voices of demons. Because the enemy does not fear your noise. He fears your obedient noise. God has already warned you, through dreams, through delays, through divine unrest. And now comes the final wave of warning, the withdrawal of opportunity, a chilling silence from heaven, the absence of fresh instructions, the doors that stay closed no matter how hard you knock. That's not punishment. That's a test, a final test to see if you'll act, not because of reward, but because of responsibility. You think you have more time, that you can wait until you feel brave, ready, affirmed. But heaven does not wait for feelings. Heaven waits for faith, and you either move in it or you become a monument of missed moments. The world is already full of those. Don't become another. There are assignments hanging in the air right now with your name on them. People praying for help, not knowing you are the answer. Situations crumbling because the solution inside of you has remained unspoken. That is the gravity of your silence. It doesn't just affect you. It holds others in bondage because you refused to carry the key that could have set them free. And still, God waits. But the clock is different now. It's not mercy time, it's decision time. And decisions made in silence are still decisions. If you refuse to act, heaven will not beg. It will redirect, because divine work must go on. And if the one chosen refuses the call, then another will be awakened. You will hear their voice echo in the space your voice was supposed to fill. You will watch them walk paths you once saw in dreams. And the ache that follows will not be from jealousy. It will be the mourning of your own forsaken future. You must understand something critical. Silence isn't just the absence of noise. It's the refusal to acknowledge the call that already burned through your spirit. You've heard it, felt it, lived with it, pressing against your bones. To deny it now is to betray your own divine architecture. And betrayal of purpose always leads to a life that looks full but feels empty. The miracles are still available. The doors are still open, but barely. This is not the beginning of your story anymore. This is the turning point. Either you ignite the fire inside you now, or it extinguishes forever. God will not let his plans die with your indecision. He will transplant your mission into someone who has less talent, less experience, less understanding, but more urgency. Don't let your story become the warning for others. Don't become the example of what happens when chosen ones grow cold. Your silence is not humble. It's dangerous. It has become a toxin in the timeline of heaven, one that must be removed if healing is to flow. If you won't step forward, heaven will purge you from the front line and insert another who will not hesitate. Look back at what you've lost in silence. Look at the relationships, the resources, the rare moments that pass by. They were chances, invitations, but your silence turned them into regrets. And yet still, God offers you this moment, this one last moment to speak, to act, to move. You are on the edge of either resurrection or replacement. You decide which. The time for confusion is over. The season for excuses has ended. You know enough. You've seen enough. You've waited too long. Now speak, before your silence becomes a grave. This is your final call. Chosen one, you are standing on holy, trembling ground. And every moment you choose silence over obedience, that ground begins to crack beneath you. The truth is not always comfortable, but it's liberating. And here it is. Your silence is not being misinterpreted. It's being noticed. Noticed by heaven. Noticed by the watchers. Noticed by the adversary. Silence, in your case, is not a gap. It's a statement. A statement that you either don't believe in the power inside you, or worse, that you don't respect the voice that gave it to you. The most dangerous form of rebellion isn't loud defiance. It's quiet disobedience dressed in spiritual reasoning. You've called it waiting. You've dressed it up as discernment. You've told yourself that you're being wise or strategic, but deep inside, you know it's fear, it's comfort, it's doubt in disguise. And heaven is not fooled by disguises. God sees the truth beneath the stillness, that you've been given more than enough confirmation, and yet you remain silent. This silence isn't neutral anymore. It's turning into judgment, a verdict being written in real time over a chosen one who keeps ignoring the thunder in their chest, the fire in their dreams, the weight in their spirit. You think the delay is divine? The delay is your disobedience creating distance, and if it continues, that distance becomes permanent disconnection. Heaven does not abandon lightly, but it does reroute, and you're on the verge of being passed over, not out of punishment, but out of principle. God cannot build a movement on the back of someone who won't even speak. You're asking for the next level, the next sign, the next miracle, but you haven't even honored the last word you were given. You're praying for activation while refusing to be available. Why is the pressure growing? Why is the urgency waking you in the night? Because the time is now, and it won't be forever. God is not waiting for you to become fearless. He's waiting for you to become faithful. Your fear does not disqualify you, but your silence will, because it speaks louder than your intentions ever could. Listen carefully. The moment you were chosen, your voice became sacred property, not just for you, but for the people attached to your purpose. When you go silent, they suffer. When you go mute, destinies collapse. You don't see the chain reaction, but it's real. Your silence is not just yours. It's a domino that topples hopes, answers, healing. And that's why heaven is pressing so hard now, because if you don't speak, those who needed your sound will fall into despair. Let this truth echo in your bones. Being chosen doesn't guarantee completion. It guarantees opportunity. It's up to you whether that opportunity becomes fulfillment or failure. And right now, the scale is tipping toward the latter. not because you're unworthy, but because you're unwilling. And unwillingness cannot carry the weight of divine assignment. Do not mistake God's previous patience for future tolerance. There is a line, a limit, a divine expiration date, and silence accelerates it. With every moment you delay, you invite elimination, not by some act of wrath, but by your own passivity. Heaven will not force you to succeed. It will simply find someone else who is hungry enough to move without assurance. The bitter truth is this: many chosen ones will watch from the sidelines as someone else fulfills the blueprint that once belonged to them. And they will cry, not out of hatred, but from the unbearable knowledge that they were first. But they were silent. Don't be one of them. Don't let the power within you die nameless and unheard. This is a call to awaken your voice. Not your talent, not your strategy, not your audience. Just your voice. Because once it begins to move, the rest will follow. But if it stays hidden, everything attached to it begins to decay. The purpose, the provision, the protection, even the presence. Silence corrodes connection to heaven. And it makes you a magnet for confusion, for wandering, for spiritual loneliness. You wonder why you feel distant, why the visions are fading, why the excitement is gone. It's not burnout, it's abandonment of purpose. Your voice is your spiritual oxygen. Without it, everything suffocates. And right now, you're running out of breath. God's warning is not meant to scare you. It's meant to save you. This is divine urgency. This is heaven shaking you awake before you drift too far, before your name becomes a whisper in the wind instead of a roar in the earth. You were never meant to go quietly. You were never called to disappear. You are not just another soul. You are a sent one. And sent ones must speak. You have been quiet for too long. The time for silence is over. The time for fear has expired. You don't need to know every step. You just need to move. You just need to open your mouth, lift your hand, release the message, walk through the door. Heaven doesn't need your perfection. It needs your permission. And that begins the moment you break the silence. This is your turning point. Speak now, or watch everything you were meant to carry be handed to someone else. The choice is yours. But know this: eternity is watching. And if you stay silent any longer, it will not just be your voice that disappears. It will be your impact, your influence, your inheritance, forever. Heed this warning. Chosen one, the weight of this hour cannot be overstated. You may not see it with your natural eyes, but in the spirit, there is a divine convergence happening right now. The heavens are aligning purposes, repositioning warriors, releasing instructions with force, and yet you, a chosen vessel, remain silent. Not because you lack words, but because you've allowed fear, hesitation, and self-doubt to become your language. Let this strike deep. Your silence has become your response, and heaven is interpreting it as a no. Understand something vital. You were not just selected to carry light. You were chosen to be a sound, not just a presence, but a voice. You are a living trumpet of divine disruption in a world addicted to noise, but starving for truth. And if you won't sound, if you won't declare, if you won't activate what was planted in you before birth, then what use is a chosen one who refuses to be heard? You may still believe you're waiting for the right time, but the truth is brutal. That time was already given. You missed it, and heaven, in mercy, stretched the window wider. But that window is now shrinking, fast. The next phase of divine movements will not accommodate hesitation. This is a season where voices will be transferred, If you will not speak, God will place your mantle on another who will. This is not a threat. It is divine protocol. The assignment is sacred. And silence, at this point, is contamination. Heaven is not seeking experts. It is seeking obedient echoes. You don't have to be perfect. You don't need all the details. What is required of you now is movement, sound, courage, wrapped in raw obedience. And silence for you has become an act of disobedience. Each unspoken word, each avoided step, each buried gift, it's all been recorded. The scroll of your destiny is not blank, it's full, but it's gathering dust in the archives of heaven. And if you do not rise now, that scroll will be reassigned. Your name will be remembered, yes, but not as the fulfiller of prophecy, only as its forfeiter. Let that sink in. You were never meant to blend in. You were never designed to retreat. You were built for divine collision, for atmospheres to shift when you speak, for chains to break when you obey. But your silence has muted heaven's response in your life. And if you're not careful, your silence will mute you permanently in the spirit. You keep asking why the favor feels dry, why the momentum has stalled, why you feel abandoned. It's not that heaven left you, it's that you stopped speaking heaven's language, obedience. Heaven responds to action. Silence is not action, silence is decay. And now the silence you chose is starting to echo back at you. Doors remain shut, people pull away, vision becomes fog. But it's not a curse, it's a consequence. When a chosen one denies their divine voice, the silence becomes a void. And all blessings tied to that voice remain locked until you speak again. This is a holy interruption in your cycle, a divine alarm going off in your soul. Wake up. Because if you don't break this silence soon, the next voice you hear won't be confirmation. It'll be replacement. The one chosen after you. The one who wasn't first, but was willing. Heaven always has a backup. Always. But do you want to watch someone else walk through a door that was built for you? Do you want to live haunted by a purpose you never had the courage to release? You say you're not ready, but readiness is not a prerequisite for divine assignments. Willingness is. You are not called to be confident. You are called to be committed. Speak while your name still has weight in the heavens. Move while your path is still lit. Because there is a terrifying moment coming when silence will no longer be a decision. It will become your destiny. This is your final invitation to break the silence before it breaks you. Do you know what happens to chosen ones who stay silent for too long? They begin to forget who they were. They begin to live in loops of almosts and maybes. They become spectators in their own spiritual story, still breathing, still blessed, but disconnected, out of sync, out of position. And eventually, they become irrelevant in the very world they were sent to transform. Don't let your silence write your obituary. God doesn't need you to roar like a lion today. He needs you to whisper a yes. That's all it takes. A yes loud enough to crack the grip of fear. A yes big enough to signal heaven that you are still available. Because silence isn't just about not speaking. It's about no longer responding. And unresponsive chosen ones are the first to be replaced. Do not wait until your silence costs you everything. You are running out of chances to recover what you've delayed. You are moments away from losing the very position you prayed for, cried for, fasted for. The promise is still available, but the promise has conditions. Speak, obey, move. This is the hour of separation. Those who obey will rise. Those who delay will fade. Not because they are unloved, but because divine plans are not paused for personal struggles. The kingdom is moving, with or without you. And if you do not rise and take your place, heaven will give your place away. The warning has come. It is loud. It is clear. It is final. Break the silence or be broken by it. Chosen one, this is it. The last warning. The final breath before the shift. The final opportunity before the door you were meant to walk through closes. Not temporarily, but eternally. And this time, it won't be reopened. Heaven has been patient. The signs were sent. The inner nudges, the prophetic confirmations, the sleepless nights. All of it was divine mercy stretching the window of obedience as far as possible. But that window is almost shut now, and your silence, if continued, will slam it shut forever. You are called to release more than words. You are called to release realities. When you speak, you shape dimensions. When you move, realms adjust. When you obey, destinies unlock. But every time you retreat into silence, those destinies collapse. What you call caution, heaven calls casualty. Your silence is creating casualties. There are people whose hope is tied to your courage. People whose healing is trapped in your obedience. Territories that remain bound because your voice, the one designed to shake their gates, has been quiet. You've been given a divine frequency. And when that frequency is muted, the spiritual earth stays locked in a false rhythm. The cycle continues. The darkness remains unchallenged, all because one chosen one refuses to speak. But hear this, heaven won't beg you forever. The days of gentle prompting are over. Now comes separation. Heaven is drawing lines. Those who obey will carry the next wave of glory. Those who remain silent will be left behind. Not in hate, not in punishment, but in accordance with justice. A voice unspoken is a mission unfulfilled. And unfulfilled missions create gaps in the divine timeline, gaps that must be filled by someone. You don't want to watch someone else live the life you were built for. You don't want to wake up 5 years from now haunted by the echo of what could have been. The stages, the souls, the power, the presence. That reality still exists, but it's hanging by a thread. And your next choice will determine whether it survives or snaps. This isn't just about you. This is about everything connected to you. Your legacy, your generation, the heavenly story written with your name. It's either about to unfold or be archived forever. There is still a chance, but only if you move, only if you break the silence now, not later, not when it feels safe. Now heaven is watching. Time is thinning. The angels assigned to your calling are still in place, but their orders are shifting. Your silence is sending signals into the spirit, signals of surrender, of apathy, of rejection. And if you don't interrupt that signal with sound, your sound, you will be counted as unfit for the fire you were made to carry. Do not underestimate what's at stake here. This is not emotional hype. This is eternal strategy. The realm of glory you've glimpsed in your dreams, the encounters you've tasted, the warfare you've survived, none of it was random. It was all training for this. And yet now, at the most critical moment, you risk forfeiting it all by falling silent. The truth is, many chosen ones start strong but vanish quietly, not because they sinned, but because they refused to sound. They buried their roar under fear, perfectionism, self-pity, or religious delay, and the kingdom moved on without them, quietly, swiftly, permanently. Heaven is not emotional, it is purposeful, and it is moving. Will you move with it? This is your fork in the road. There's no middle ground left. There's no more waiting to be sure. If you know you've been called, if you've felt the fire, if the words on this page are shaking your spirit, it's because the time is now. Your silence was once tolerated. Now, it's a liability, and heaven cannot fund what it cannot trust. Your voice is sacred. It is weighty. It is targeted. And right now, it is missing. That's why the heavens have been thundering. That's why the pressure has built. That's why your life has felt suffocating, because you've been suppressing a divine eruption. One that, if not released, will destroy everything it was meant to awaken. Say what needs to be said. Do what needs to be done. Step where you are afraid to step. Open your mouth. Break the silence. Now, before this window seals, before your role is reassigned, before the divine presence that once hovered so closely over you becomes faint and finally departs. You are not out of time yet, but you're nearly out of chances. Do not let silence become the reason your name is removed from heaven's active register. Do not let delay become your grave. Your assignment is still pulsing, but it is bleeding out, and only your voice can resuscitate it. Heaven has warned you. Now it's watching you. Move or be removed. Chosen one, speak before you disappear.